what I have been trying to say in my textbooks. And to the extent that it does that, well, that has been, from what I understand, some people reported to me, a plus. Because they didn't understand what I had written very well, but when they saw those cartoons that just repeated what I was saying and attaching my name to it, and came right out of the book, the material did, they say that they better understood it. And I can understand that because people are kind of visual, particularly in the year 2021 now, more visual than ever.
I understand that. It just seems to me like, how can you continue a battle that nothing, that you had nothing to do with? And, like you said, it's been started like when my buddy Josh's grandparents, it happened to them. But like I said, to my best knowledge, it never happened to us. We grew up in the same place. We hung around the exact same people. We weren't treated any different than the white kids. And I just have a hard time with it now when I go home and see him, that now all of a sudden he's I don't even have a word, but
he's what? What is it he's doing? He's saying something about racism?
Yeah, and it's he's been, it's been in his family for years, and so now he's got an attitude even against some of the guys we hung out with when we were little, and he just brings it up, and it's, like I said, until we were 17, 18 years old, it never happened to us, but he's making it sound like he's got to, take over a fight that maybe his grandparents, had a long time ago.
Okay, well, let's look at your associate, Josh. Could it be that what he's saying, he's not making it up, and he's not talking about the past? Could it be possible that he's talking about something he's looking at right now? And that what he is saying is that he sees it, but that you don't. Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Well, see, that could be the case. That could be, like you said, that he's making it up. But I don't think he's making it up, because I see it too. And I've always seen it. I've never been in a situation where I didn't see it. Now, if I was looking for it and it wasn't there, then that's something different. And I've heard people say that, saying, well, I'm looking at the same thing that you're looking at, but I don't see what you see. And I say, yes, I know. That's the treachery of the way racism works. Because sometimes you can be looking at it, and I have this in the book that I wrote. In racial matters, many look, but few see. See what? See what they're looking at. You're looking at it, but you don't see it. Like an optical illusion.
But if you're constantly looking for it, then, that's like they say.
So, but you can only see it if it's there. Otherwise, you are making it up, in which case nobody should do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you're telling me just a second ago that you look for it. Well, if you're looking to see if something is racist, you're constantly, you got blinders on. You're looking for it, and you'll take any little, section of conflict or whatever and say, oh, that's racism. That's not because of, his bad attendance. That's racism. Because that's what you're looking for, is what it sounds like.
But I will only, but see, the thing that I claim, that when I do look for it, I see it. Because it is there. But it's not supposed to be there. That's the key. It's not supposed to be there.
But you're looking.
No matter how hard I look, I'm not supposed to ever find it. Because it's not supposed to be there. The racism should not exist. That's the whole point. Just like cancer should not exist. See, now I can look past cancer. I can not recognize it deliberately, or I can recognize it deliberately, but I make up my mind that I'd rather not think about it, so therefore if I don't think about it and I'm not feeling the pain directly at that moment, because I'm laughing about something, like a cancer patient has laughed, but the cancer patient still has cancer. See what I mean? So racism is the same way. black people laugh all the time. They're the laughingest people in the world, collectively. Nobody laughs like black people. In fact, there's more jokes made about laughing black people than anything else. Even in the old days, when it was right in your face, this thing called racism. Black people laugh more then than they do now. Black people were the biggest jokesters because they were trying to hide the pain. That's why. But over a period of years, they laughed less and less as the pain began to go away because they were laughing at the pain. They were trying to laugh off the pain. And now, a lot of us try to put on the blinders to not see what is causing a world problem.
Around that time, something got formulated called the NBA bubble. And there was a lot of pressure on all the NBA players to kneel for the national anthem and to wear the Black Lives Matter t-shirt. The shirt was just in your locker. We didn't have...
Now, a person can look at President Obama and say, he doesn't really have a problem, like President Obama said himself, said, I'm trying to get health care for the people that don't have it. See, I have health care. Me and my whole family. I will never have to worry about health care. I will get top-of-the-line health care. I already know that. He said, I'm trying to get it for the people that don't have it. He said, so if you're talking about me individually, he said, yes, I got health care, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not supposed to be concerned about other people not having it. See what I mean? So racism is the same way. There are some people who say, well, I've been able to skirt it, and I've been able to get by, and I've been able to do this. In the neighborhood that I was brought up in, I was able to shield myself from it. But see, the fact that you shield yourself from it means that it's there. And it shouldn't be there for you to shield yourself from it. I mean, that's the whole purpose, because when you try to move away, just like in the case of your friend Josh, when you try to reconnect with him, he's been hit by it, full force, and his behavior shows it. And that saddens you, but that's a fact. And the reason it's a fact is because he ran into it when he just moved just a little bit. And it hit him full force. Really, it had him full force all the time. And that's when it's really painful.
So are you saying that you have never been mistreated because you're not white?
Not that I know of. I mean, I've had things with, many people, and, I mean, granted, there's always some bonehead, but, that that's, whether he's black or white, it doesn't matter to me. I've come across, bonehead, but I find myself finding more of my own, quote, brothers that would do me wrong more so than the white guys that I hang out with.
And I can see why that would be, because that's the effect that racism has. The very fact that when you interact with black people, they are hostile toward you, or they mistreat you, and they you don't get the kind of reaction that you should get from people when those people are black. And there's a reason for that. They've been affected by racism to the extent that nobody would want to be around them. And that makes sense, because the system of racism itself produces black people that nobody wants to be around, including other black people. That is the effect of racism itself. That's not just something that happened because black people have this peculiarity about them that makes them into monsters and monstrosities. No, that's a system that does that. So black people, by the nature of being under the system of white supremacy, are made into creatures that nobody wants to be around, including the black people themselves. They don't want to be around each other and can hardly stand themselves. But since you got to be with yourself, there's nowhere else to go. I mean, if you are you, you're you. So what can you do? And so therefore you turn that outwardly, because there's nowhere else but to turn it inwardly, in which case you would be suicidal all the time, which is what black people really are. But we just don't go that extra step. Black people are very suicidal because black people cannot stand themselves. They can't stand other black people, and they can't stand themselves. Because when they look at other black people, they see themselves. And they can't stand what they see. Because we have already been made into creatures that are unworthy of being around anything. But the system did that. We weren't born like that. We were all born as little wide-eyed, curious children. But we were turned into monsters and monstrosities. I myself am a monstrosity. The very fact that I'm having this conversation in 2009 proves that I'm a monstrosity. What's a monstrosity? A monstrosity is a creature that is out of sync, out of balance. A person who is in the midst of a whole bunch of problems that can't be solved or apparently aren't being solved. That's a monstrosity. I'm one.
Unfortunately, me too, as long as the system of white supremacy.
It's just one answer to all three questions. In order to maintain the system of white supremacy. These are necessary things. Cause confusion in what? All areas of activity. Because like I said earlier in this program, when people are confused, they have to depend on people who are not confused. So the white supremacists use language to confuse people all the time, every day. You can't buy a car or buy a house without being confused. You can't do anything if you're a person of color anywhere in the world under the system of white supremacy without some kind of confusion being handed to you on a silver platter. See, the platter will be beautiful, the thing that they handed to you in, but they keep that. And whatever was on that platter is loaded with poison, all right? And the poison is designed to do what? Confuse the mind. That's the kind of poison they put out. And they do it mostly by talking. That's why the people who are called in the Northwestern Hemisphere years ago, the people who were designated as called red people, people of color, by the white supremacists, those people said what about the white supremacists? They speak with forked tongue. Say one thing, mean another. If you listen to them, if they keep talking and whatnot, they will talk you out of house and home. They're expert talkers. Like, I sometimes call it Pocahontasism. And if they can't talk to one black person, they'll talk to another. They'll try to find the weakest one. Their record shows this. And this is not anything that Neely Fuller is saying, except I'm repeating what was taught to me. By whom? Directly, indirectly, by people who believed in white supremacy. Many of them, I won't say all, but I'll say the most powerful and smartest ones. They taught me about what? The Indian maiden called Pocahontas. And say, you read this, boy, and you learn it. What we did to people of color, along with what we did to you. Read this. And even though you're reading it, and I'll tell you about it, I told you about your slave history because I got control of all the books. So, you couldn't learn it any other way. I killed off the people who were actually, the first ones. And so I inherited you. You are the illegitimate offspring. That's what the white supremacists tell us every day. You are my illegitimate offspring because I killed off your parents. I killed off the parents of all of the non-white people on the planet until they did what? Until their offspring learned my ways. But I will only teach them enough of my ways to their own detriment. I'll teach them how to fight each other and all of that. I won't teach them anything that makes them more powerful than me or as powerful as I am. Because I don't believe in justice. I believe in dominating and mistreating people. That's why I'm a white supremacist. Domination and mistreatment of people. That's what white supremacy means. It doesn't mean just, well, I'm trying to, save myself as a white person, as a species and all like that. That's what they'll say. But see, no one was chasing them down, insisting that you give your woman to me. The white supremacists were doing that to other people, chasing other people all over the place and saying, give your women to me. I'll take them. And don't you touch mine, but I will take all of yours and run through every one of them that I can and produce offspring and then make slaves out of them and have them confused, because I will always tell them that some of you are my offspring, and get you to fight the other ones, the light skin against the dark skin, and come up with all different kind of religions and have you fighting about that, when I am the most powerful of all religions. There's no religion more powerful than the religion of white supremacy. Now, a lot of people will say, well, where'd you get that from, Fuller? I had to come up with that one, because that's the truth. Compare any religion, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, Confucianism, Hinduism, with the religion of white supremacy. There's absolutely no comparison. There's never been a religion as powerful as the religion of white supremacy. Racism itself is an insane proposition. What is racism? White supremacy. What is white supremacy? Mistreating people or treating people like they're criminals because of color. Also, you have, people in very high positions who say that if you're a person with black skin, you are a toilet. So what do you do to a toilet? The little girl is a toilet, okay, in the minds of the white supremacists. This is universal. That's what a black person is. A urinal, a toilet, a commode bowl. That's what that is, walking down the street toward you. If you're white, you're taught that. That is nothing. That is something to be disdained. That's something to have off to the side somewhere. A Jiffy John, a portable toilet hidden over there in the trees. Hide that thing. That toilet. That's not something that you hide, and you don't want people to see you going in there. All right? Okay. That's what these things that we have recognized, we call them, in order to make them feel better. We call them people, but that's not what they really are. They are less than animals. Even the animals we bring out and parade in the streets and whatnot and show off. Okay? And we'll do a few of them like that, a few of our chosen ones. But basically, when you're looking at a black person, you are looking at a commode. Walking down the street, that's what that is. And what do you do to a commode? You treat it like it's a commode. End of story. See, black people have to see themselves the way that the white supremacists see us every day when they pass us on the street. Here comes a toilet. That's what that is, a walking toilet. And if I have to relieve myself, that's the thing that I'm going to do it in.
Wow. Whew. In those situations, what can we, or what do we learn, from that? Or how are we supposed to interpret that?
Interpret it just the way I saw it. I said it. See, when I walk down the street, I think that that's what they're thinking. Okay?
But does that make it true?
Exactly what they're thinking.
Okay.
If they're white supremacists, I shouldn't even be in existence. I'm just something that you tolerate in existence. I shouldn't even exist. I shouldn't be walking down the street taking up the sidewalk. That's why sometimes they almost walk right into you. I mean, you know, move. My goodness. I'm a white person. Get out of my way. You're not supposed to be on this planet. Negro. What are you doing breathing? Where'd you come from? Who created you? Who would have the nerve to create something like you? I mean, who would make that kind of mistake? You're nothing but a walking mistake. My God, deliver me. But since you're here, I'll put up with you, but I ain't gonna put up with you very much. That's it. That's the whole philosophy in the mind of a white supremacist. If we don't understand that, then we don't understand the world that we're in.
Young people are not smoking premium handmade cigars. They're smoking 99-cent blunts, baby.
You could argue this is a national security issue because
The question is, do white people now fear, the white supremacists fear genetic annihilation? I don't think so. Not now. That's why I call them white supremacists. See, once you get in a supreme position, you don't fear annihilation, except if it looks like you're losing your power. Then you have that fear. Now, up to now, they haven't displayed where they fear that they're losing that power, even though.
I embrace the true cuts.
You don't know the name of your God? Tell me his name. There is only one God, and his name is God, and you too shall worship him. You want me to worship a God, but you don't want to tell me his name? What are you talking about? There are many gods, okay? There is Shiva, there is Lakshmi, there is Hare Krishna, there are many gods. What is the name of your God? His name is God. You don't know the name of your God? It's just God. Is it like mommy or daddy? You want me to worship your God, but you don't want me to tell me his name, huh? How am I going to pray to him? What do I do? Every morning I go to wake up and I pray like, oh, dear God, I was hoping that maybe God, you could help me. No, sorry, not you, other God. No, other God. No, not the wrong God. No, God, I was trying to talk to others. No, you're right. I should have asked for your first name. No, God. No, other God, please. No, God behind that God. No, not you today, God. Other God. You're right. He told me he would know who I was talking to, and I don't. No, other God, please. That God on the other. No, that's God. Then I wonder why my prayers are not getting answered, huh?
Now let's look at the third thing that each race received after the Most High separated the sons of Adam. Along with their own land and own language, each race or tribe received their own gods through Moses. According to the Bible, every race was appointed their own gods by Yahuwah at the Tower of Babel. This is not taught to us in Christianity at all, despite the Bible's attempt to make it known. Despite the first commandment given to the Israelites is that they should not have any God before Yahweh, which by default suggests that there are other gods. But the Bible would not be as useful to the Gentiles if the Gentiles were to show that each race has their own God. Instead, the founders and leadership of Eurocentric Christianity decided to go with the narrative that there is only one God. In order to achieve this goal, they had to see that the other gods mentioned in the Bible, like Baal, Moloch, Prince of Persia, and the Prince of Greece, were figments of the Gentiles' imagination. The Gentiles thought that their idols and images were gods, but were really not gods, but inanimate objects that couldn't eat, see, or smell. That they thought the sun, moon, stars, and celestial bodies in the heavens were God in their image and not the Creator, because the Creator had not revealed himself to them until Paul was sent to preach the gospel to the Gentiles. But is that true? Well, the Bible does speak a lot about man creating gods and idols out of wood, stone, gold, and silver. It even speaks on how foolish a man is that creates an idol with his own hands, such as in the book of Isaiah chapter 44. So yes, the Bible was saying that those carvings were not God. But it was not saying that there weren't any other gods. Sometimes, man goes too far in their religious practice and starts worshiping wood and sun, while others of the same faith as that man might understand that the carved idols are only representations of the God that they made, but are not the actual God. The same thing occurs amongst the Christians. Take the cross that the Christian wears, for example. There are some people who see the cross as only a representation of Christ. They don't believe that the cross itself has any special power, that it doesn't bring you luck or offer anyone any protection, but merely shows that you follow Christianity. Some can wear the cross without worshiping the cross, while others can completely worship the cross, which in turn would make it a god, a vain god that can't be seen or smelled, a vain god that was created by man's hand. These people will bow down before the cross, hold the cross so sacred that they are even scared to drop it on the ground. Some even believe that it has powers to ward off evil and vandals. Some place it on their doors and on their foreheads, not for the sake of art, but to ward off any evil forces. They have made that image of God. The same can be said about the Kaaba stone as well. A follower of Islam may believe that he must make a trip to Mecca to kiss the stone at least once in his lifetime, while another practitioner of the Muslim faith would put his faith in the God of his father, Allah, whether he ever sees the stone in his lifetime or not. The former has made a God out of the Kaaba stone. You also have several forms of Catholicism. The whole thing sacred like food, that, and candles. These people have placed powers and superstitions on objects created by man's hands, therefore creating gods that can't see, or smell. But that does not negate the gods that can see, drink, and smell, mentioned throughout the Bible. We have to be able to differentiate between the two. Well, really three. Because there were also to be new gods that came new to us. But before we can be able to tell the difference, we have to know what a god is. Will be God. Let's go back to Genesis 32, verses 78, where it says to remember the days of old, when the Most High divided the nations their inheritance. We have shown how the sons of Noah received their own land that they divided among their sons. They also received their own language, when the Most High confounded their one world. Let us look at chapter 4 of the book of Deuteronomy to see what else was given to the sons of Adam as their inheritance. Before the Most High brought the children of Israel into the land of their inheritance, he warned them to not be like the nations who dwelt there before them. He told the children of Israel to not worship the things that were given to the nations to worship. Let's read some verses out of Deuteronomy chapter 4 to get more understanding. Let's read verses 15 to 20.
That God like to enclose with
Take
military-like
ye
precision.
therefore good deeds unto yourself. For you saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yah spake unto you in Horeb,
out of the midst of the fire. Lest ye corrupt yourselves, and make you a graven image, the similitude of anything, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground. the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun, and the moon, and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them, and serve them, which Yah, thy Elohim, have divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. But Yah has taken you, and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as you are this day. As the Most High warned Israel of what not to do in the land, he also told them to not worship the host of heaven, because he has divided them unto all the sons of Noah. The question that we must now ask is who or what are the host of heaven? The sun, moon, and stars are already mentioned. So what or who else are in the heavens? The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 18, will tell us exactly who the host of heaven are. Let's look at the prophecy that Micaiah told Ahab, the king of Israel, when he wanted to go to war in Ramoth Gilead. Micaiah told the king of Israel about a vision that was given to him. Again he said, "Therefore, hear the word of Yah. I saw Yahuwah sitting upon his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. And Yah said, Who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one spake, saying after this manner, and another saying after that manner. Then there came out a spirit, and stood before Yah, and said, I will entice him. And Yah said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And Yah said, Thou shalt entice him, and thou shalt also prevail. Go out and do it so. Now, therefore, behold, Yah has put a lying spirit in the mouth of these thy prophets, and Yah has spoken against thee. As we see in 2 Chronicles chapter 18, that there are beings standing in Yah's council. Not only are these beings able to stand, but they are able to speak. So surely they can speak and slay. These beings are what the Bible calls the host of heaven. Another term used for these hosts of heaven in the Bible is the sons of God, like in the book of Job. Now there was a day when the sons of Yah came to present themselves before Yah. And Satan came also among them. And Yah said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered Yah, and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. In the book of Job, we see the sons of Yah, a.k.a. the host of heaven, having a congregation with Yah. At this time, Satan still had access to the heavens and came before Yah as well, showing that these sons of Yah are on the same level physically as Satan. So whatever it is you can imagine that Satan did, these hosts of heaven to do as well. At the very least, something similar. So when we go back to Deuteronomy chapter 4, we now know that the host of heaven that Yah divided unto all the nations or races of the earth are living beings standing in Yah's congregation at one point or another. And these hosts of heaven were given to the other sons of Adam to worship. Now verse 20 of Deuteronomy chapter 4 makes even more sense when it says that Yah has taken you, the children of Israel, unto him. Yah is who the children of Israel shall worship, while the other races will worship the gods given to them. Remember back in the book of Genesis, when Yah had confounded the languages of the sons of Noah and divided them into separate nations?
In chapter 11, verse 7, he said, to let us go down and confound the sons of Noah's language. Well, according to the book of Jasher, those us were the 70 angels or mighty ones who stood foremost before him. These 70 angels were named gods or lords over the sons of Noah. This matches perfectly with the number of 70 sons of Noah according to Genesis chapter 10. The book of Jubilees also confirms that each nation or race were given their own God, becoming a third race. First we proved it in the Bible, then witnessed it in the book of Jasher. Now let's read it in the book of Jubilees. Jubilees chapter 50, verses 30 through 32. For Ishmael and his sons and his brothers Esau, Yah did not cause temptation, and he chose them not because they were the children of Abraham, because he knew them, but he chose Israel to be his people, and he sanctified it and gathered it from amongst all the children of men. For there are many nations and many people, and all are his, and over all has he placed spirits in authority to lead them astray from him. But over Israel he did not appoint any angel or spirit, for he alone is their Lord, and he will preserve them and require them at the hand of his angels and his spirits, and at the hand of all his powers, in order that he may preserve them and bless them, and that they may be his, and he may be theirs from henceforth forever. The book of Jubilees said that though all are his, meaning Yah is the creator of everything, he personally appointed spirits of authority over them all, meaning all the races or tribes receive the spirit and authority of each race. This is what God is. The mighty ones who have authority of the races, the nation's spiritual rulers. These are the hosts of heaven, the gods of the Gentiles, not to be confused with the creator of the Gentiles. These beings were to lead the Gentiles away from Yah. Why? Because they wanted to make war with Yah, kill Yah, and place their own gods in Yah's place. This is why they built the tower. This is also why he says, behold, the people are of one language, and this is what they do. Then he confounded their language and scattered them across the earth, giving each one their own boundaries and land to go with their own languages. He also gave them their own gods to rule over them. But the Creator did not place any angels or spirits over the children of Israel, for he alone is their God. He will preserve them and require them at the hand of his angels and spirits like mighty, his mighty ones like Yeshua. This is why the Creator is the Most High God, because he is the spiritual ruler over the spiritual rulers that he has placed over the nations or races, thus him having the authority to appoint them over the Gentiles. The book of Nehemiah confirms that Yah is the Most High God, being that he is the God of all the other gods, when it tells us that the hosts of heaven, aka gods of the Gentiles, worship or follow Yah's orders. And the book of John is our third witness to this. In chapter 20, verse 17, Yeshua, who is also a mighty one and son of Yah, tells his brethren not to touch him because he has yet to ascend unto his God. Yeshua confirms that even he has a God above him in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, where he says that he would make the ones who overcome a pillar in the temple of his God, and he will write upon him the name of his God and the city of his God, when Jerusalem is sent down from his God. Everyone answers to somebody, including the mighty ones. Only Yah stands alone,
with no one above him and no one on his left. The top of the pyramid, like the gods of Egypt claim to be. The father of us all, like Zeus and Odin claim to be. It's not just Satan who wishes to be like the Most High, but some of these other gods do as well. Isaiah chapter 14 tells us of how Lucifer, the son of the morning, said in his heart that he shall be like the Most High, but shall be brought down to the pits of hell. We all know that Lucifer is a devil, or adversary, or enemy of the Most High, but he wasn't always an enemy of Yah. We all know that he rebelled against Yah, but he wasn't the only one. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, the Most High calls out the king of Tyrus and proclaims judgment on him. At first, one might think that the king of Tyrus is a man, but in verse 2, Yah says that the king of Tyrus had once been in the Garden of Eden, covered with precious stones. Surely this is not a man who once walked in the Garden of Eden and is now still alive to receive a message during the days of Ezekiel. Verse 14 goes on to say that the king of Tyrus is an anointed cherub that once sat upon the mountain of God. This cherub was perfect until iniquity was done. A once cherished cherub had become an enemy of Yah. Therefore, he was also cast out of the mountain of Yah, the same way Lucifer was. The king of Tyrus' heart was lifted up, causing him to think that he was the Most High. Therefore, Yah swore to cast him to the ground. A lot of people think that this king of Tyrus is Lucifer. I myself once thought that as well. But with further studying, I learned who this king of Tyrus is. According to the king's list of the ancient city of Tyr, or Tyrus, the first king, whose name was Agenor, claimed to be a descendant of Poseidon. Poseidon is the god of Tyr and its sister city, Sidon. Both of these cities are talked about in Ezekiel chapter 28 and are said to have been founded by two of the many sons of Poseidon.
Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly and today's video is all about one of the oldest gods of the Greek pantheon and a deity whose domain fell over the seas, horses and earthquakes. Yes, today we are talking about the great Greek god Poseidon, who, among his many attributes, inspired modern-day movies. Poseidon in ancient Greek mythology was the god of the sea, horses, earthquakes and storms, floods and droughts, and was also a protector of mariners. Due to his governance over natural disasters like storms and floods, Poseidon was probably the most destructive of the gods, although he wasn't necessarily always a negative force. Poseidon was also associated with horses as the patron of horses and horse breeding, and to the Romans he was known as Neptune. Poseidon is one of the Greek deities with the longest history, as cults to him date back to the Mycenaean period during the Bronze Age, between circa 3300 to 1200 BCE. The three sons of Kronos, Zeus, Hades and Poseidon, threw lots to decide which domain they would rule over. Zeus got the heavens, Hades got the underworld, and Poseidon was granted the seas. Poseidon is commonly depicted in art as a bearded, mature man, and is often brandishing his three-pointed trident, a weapon that was crafted for him by the Cyclops. This trident could be used by Poseidon to create earthquakes by striking it against the ground. He is also often depicted in his chariot pulled by half-horse, half-serpent creatures called hippocamps. Poseidon is one of the oldest Greek deities and was worshipped prior to the Archaic and Classical Greek periods. His popularity is most likely due to the importance of seafaring in the Mycenaean culture, and so it's no surprise that Poseidon was one of their most important deities, and cults to the god have been referenced in ancient Greek texts such as Linear B inscriptions from sites like Pylos and Knossos. We also know that the city of Pylos, best known as the home of Nestor, one of the Greeks from the Trojan War, worshipped Poseidon as its main god and had a priestess as the head of his cult. Another important site to the god is the Temple of Poseidon at Sunion that towered over ships entering the Saronic Gulf and dates to the 5th century BCE. Here, Poseidon was honoured by boat races that were held every 4 years. Despite losing to Athena in the contest for Athens, Poseidon was still honoured in the city with the annual Poseidae festival, although the festival did have more to do with agriculture than the sea. Although Poseidon was the god of earthquakes, he was also seen as the protector during earthquakes, and it was as his protective aspect, known as Poseidon Asphalios, that a temple to him was built at Rhodes. There was also an unusual rite enacted at Onchestus in Boeotia, where there was an important sanctuary dedicated to Poseidon, where horses would pull riderless chariots, and when one of them crashed, the chariot would be dedicated to the god. Fishers and mariners throughout the Greek world made votive offerings to Poseidon for protection, and his cult worshippers would often sacrifice bulls, stallions, and male sheep to him. His fame as a powerful god of the ancient world may have faded, but in the modern age his name is still remembered from movies such as The Poseidon Adventure, Poseidon, and various TV shows and documentaries.
Aquaman, swift and powerful monarch of the oceans, with ability to summon and command all creatures of the deep. Aquaman, who with his teenage ally, Aqualad, guards and defends all that lives in the seas against the forces of evil. Aquaman, king of the 7 seas.
Talking to a mere mortal. Yah was talking to one of his chief cherubs that Yah himself appointed to rule over a certain race or tribe of people. People built him temples that still stand to this day. Although they said he is no longer worshipped, you can still find cults in Grecia that still worships him. On top of that, he has cartoons and movies made in honor of him. Little children dress up as him for Halloween. He even had a planet named after him called Neptune. But this cherub rebelled and became an enemy of Yah, just like Lucifer. But Lucifer and Poseidon are the only ones who rebelled against Yah. Many gods turned their backs to him, to the point Yah wrote an entire chapter dedicated to those rebellious gods. Yah standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O Yah, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. The book of Psalms, chapter 110, talks about the enemies of Yeshua. David writes, the Lord, or Master, said unto my Lord, or Master, sit thou at my right hand, till I make thy enemies thy footstool. A God is a spiritual ruler, or master, or Lord. So this can be read, the God, or highest God, said unto my God, I will make thine enemies thy footstool. Who are the enemies that Yeshua needs to put under his feet? Surely they are not men. Yeshua is a mighty man. His enemies must be mighty ones as well. In the book of Revelation, chapter 6, John talks about two of Yeshua's enemies emerging, and the fourth seal is broken. Then on a pale horse, he sees a rider named Death, and another rider named Hell that follows him. Christianity doesn't teach you that these riders, Death and Hell, are actually gods. But they are. This is why these names are capitalized. The English word death is thanatos in the Greek. And the English word hell is Hades in the Greek. Thanatos is a Greek god who is the personification of death. Its strong number is G2288. It is derived from the root word kunesko, which is G2348 in the Strong's. Thunesko, Strong's G2348, comes from the even simpler primary word Thanos. According to Greek mythology, Thanatos, Thanos, appears to humans once they have reached their fate or final destination in life to carry them off to the underworld. Early depictions go back to 510 BC. That's 500 years before Christ walked this earth. Notice how the 3rd century depiction of him looks like our modern depictions of angels and cherubims. The Gentiles were already depicting their gods as winged beings from the heavens in every culture before getting their hands on the Hebrews' writings. This bust was made almost a half of a millennium prior to the book of Revelation being written. The Greek god Thanatos is equivalent to the Roman god Mars, who is also known as Mars. So this being whose name is Death in the English has a planet as well as the month of March named after him. This being, or host of heaven, is one of the last of Christ's enemies to be defeated. Death is a powerful being that has the power to take life. He is one of the most feared gods in the Grecians' pantheon of gods. A god that no one wanted to meet, and if you do, you would know that your fate had been sealed.
Like a little plastic body. Last chance.
Thanatos, or Thanos, is also known as the Angel of Death. He is said to be the invisible being that only a person on his or her deathbed can see, the one who comes to take them to the other side. He is also known as the ruler of collecting souls, depicted in all sorts of modern media outlets and believed to be a physical being and not a figment of one's imagination. He has been depicted throughout movies and hip-hop videos, and this whole time, we never knew that what they were showing us was the angel of death, or Thanos, is one of Christ's last enemies. Death, or Thanos in the Greek, is followed closely by Hell, who is Hades. Hades is the god of the dead and the king of the underworld. Thanos is said to be the god who comes to collect the souls of die. He will then bring you to the afterlife. It is believed that if your final destination is hell or the underworld, there you would be ruled over by Hades. Hades' name was changed to Pluto to differentiate him from his kingdom that bears the name Hades, hell as well. Pluto, or Hades, is the god of the underworld, and is listed as another one of Christ's last enemies to be defeated. So is Thanos and Hades just figments of John the Revelator's imagination, or are they actual beings that were in some form bound by Christ and his words? This talk about gods fighting gods may be hard to imagine ourselves, but this is not only written in the book of Revelation, but throughout the entire Bible. In the book of Daniel, chapter 10, Daniel has an encounter with one of these hosts of heaven. Verse 5 describes this being as a man clothed in linen, but verse 6 makes it clear that this is no ordinary man. His face is the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire. If that wasn't enough to convince you, that he was no ordinary man. Verse 6 goes on to say that his voice is like a multitude of voices. So this definitely is not an ordinary man, but a host of heaven. This being tells Daniel that he was dispatched to him on the first day that Daniel set his heart to understand. But the prince of Persia withstood this being for 21 days. Surely this prince of Persia was not a mere man. No mortal can withstand a mighty, to the point that this mighty man had to call upon Michael, one of the chief princes. The prince of Persia was a mighty one as well. That host of heaven was Ahura Mazda, who was given to the Iranians, Medes, and Persians to be worshipped. Ahura Mazda is one of the gods set over the sons of Mandai to be their spiritual authority, or God. What is interesting is that Daniel was one of the Israelites carried away to Babylon. At the time of the story, Daniel was still under the rule of the Babylonians and their god, Nabu, whom Nebuchadnezzar was named. But it was the god of the Persians who stopped the mighty angel that was dispatched to speak with Daniel. Now history tells us that the Medes and Persians conquered Babylon, becoming the next largest empire and world leader, close to the end of the 5th century BC. So Mazda must have defeated and claimed those lands for himself. This is another example of gods fighting against gods. Later in chapter 10 of the book of Daniel, the mighty one that was dispatched to Daniel tells Daniel that he must return to fight with the prince of Persia, or god of Persia, or Michael, who is Daniel's prince. He also tells Daniel that after that, the prince of Grecia shall come, or the god of Grecia shall come. The prince or god of Grecia at that time was Zeus. History proves that the Persians were conquered by the Grecians, who then became the largest empire in the world and world leaders. They are the ones who Hellenized, which means Zeus, who is the prince or god of the Grecians, must have defeated Ahura Mazda, who was the prince or god of the Medes and Persians. Now, one might ask that if the prince of Persia means the god of the Persians, and the prince of Grecia means the god of the Greeks, then does Michael, being Daniel's prince, mean that Michael is the god of the Hebrews? Remember that the book of Jubilees told us that God had not placed angels and hosts of heaven to be Israel's God, that he alone was Israel's God. But he will require them in the hands of his power, or mighty ones, meaning that the mighty ones who are loyal to you are the ones who will fight for Israel. But they are not Israel's gods, because Israel does not have a family of gods like the other races. Yah alone is their rule. But the word prince certainly refers to God. In the book of John, chapter 14, Christ says in red letters how he will not be able to podcast with his disciples because the prince of this world comes. The God of this world comes. In chapter 16, he tells his disciples how the prince or God of this world will be judged. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, it speaks on how the prince of power of the air, or God of the air, is a spirit that worketh